powered by Riverside FM.
Welcome to another edition of Unconventional Playbook. Kevin O'Connell has signed a multi-year contract extension with our purple, the Minnesota Vikings. We knew this was coming, but there was a lot of speculation out there from a lot of different entities out there talking about teams wanting to trade for Kevin O'Connell, and where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm not saying that those reports were false. I'm sure they had some substance to them, but the Minnesota Vikings were never going to trade Kevin O'Connell. Especially after the Mike Zimmer years, Kevin O'Connell has been a breath of fresh air the last 3 years for the Minnesota Vikings, strength being culture building. And I think that's going to bode well in the future with salary cap availability, that money and building that culture. It just makes the Minnesota Vikings program, team, organization, whatever you want to call it, just a high-level destination for free agents. And again, especially when you have that money, it's just what Kevin O'Connell has built. I mean, you look at 2 out of his 3 seasons, he's got 13 wins, 14 wins. And then the one season that he didn't do as well, I mean, he had a carousel at quarterback. Starting quarterback got hurt, Kirk Cousins. Some people had speculated that he was playing at an MVP level before he got hurt in that Packers game and probably would have taken the Minnesota Vikings to the playoffs. We'll never know that, but you definitely can't argue that. You can't debate it. But I'm glad to have this Kevin O'Connell thing solved and situated, because there's just a lot of speculation out there, man. You don't want people to be speculating that he's going to go into his last season of his current contract as a lame duck. That hurts you in free agency. That hurts you in stability. Then you had reports that there was tension between he and the Wilfs. You know, that's why on a previous podcast, I was just like, why wouldn't the Wilfs want to get this done? Now, this could have been a situation where they knew that Ben Johnson was out there for the Detroit Lions, who just became the head coach of the Chicago Bears. He got roughly $13 million, so maybe Kevin O'Connell was trying to say, or maybe his people were trying to wait a little bit and try to see what Ben Johnson was going to get. Terms have not been disclosed in terms of years and what Kevin O'Connell is getting, but I'm going to assume that's going to be a 3 to 5 year deal worth roughly about 15 to 17 million a year. I don't see him getting Andy Reid money, but I think he's going to get about 15 to 17. So it's going to be interesting to see once that is put out there publicly what Kevin O'Connell is going to get. I'm happy about it. And I think it's the first domino to fall in terms of a great offseason. Word has it that they're working on a contract extension for Kwesi Adolfo Mensah. I think those two are tied together. I think Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi are going to be around here for a long time. And I know people, when it comes to Kwesi, they talk about his draft picks, but you can't argue with his work in free agency. And I know people look at Kevin O'Connell in terms of his play calling at times, but you can't argue with the culture that he's built. And 2 out of 3 years making the playoffs, career record 34-17 for Kevin O'Connell. I mean, you can't argue the work that he's done. So those two have been really good for the Minnesota Vikings. How quickly we forget what it was like under the last year of Zimmer. And then you have Zimmer and Spellman not even talking to each other. I mean, you can't have that and run a great organization. I think this is the first of a lot of dominoes to fall. You know, I think B-Flow, when you look at all the jobs that are being snapped up, this is not surprising to me. I've said it on multiple episodes of Unconventional Playbook that I didn't think that B-Flow would get a job this year. I think currently, as long as that lawsuit is out there under litigation, I just don't see B-Flow getting a job. These owners have shown that they are in lockstep with each other when it comes to certain things, a.k.a. Colin Kaepernick. Brian Flores, until that lawsuit is settled, and I don't know why it's been extended and taken so long for this thing to get settled. I mean, I would think if I was Brian Flores that I would want that taken care of because I'm out here applying for jobs. I just don't see B-Flow getting a job, which is unfortunate for B-Flow because, you want to see him be able to accomplish all the goals that he wants to accomplish. I mean, he's a hell of a coach. He's improved our defense drastically. But then you have the lawsuit, and then you have the comments from Tua and, all this stuff coming out about B-Flow. I just think it makes him less attractive compared to some of the other people that are out there currently looking for jobs. And so I think he's going to be back with the Minnesota Vikings this year. And KOC has done a great job in terms of just building his coaching staff. Now, I know there's been some speculation that Wes Phillips, may be on his way out because he may want to do a little bit of play calling. And I don't think KOC is going to give that up anytime too soon. So I know Wes Phillips has been talking to some people about possibly getting into an offensive coordinator's position where he gets an opportunity to do a little bit of play call. I know that's something that he wants to do. Josh McCown is another name that's been bounced around for head coaching jobs, and not hating on Josh McCown. I mean, I'm not hating on Josh McCown. I think he did a great job with Sam Darnold this year, and I think he's a good coach. But everybody keeps presenting Josh McCown as a head coaching candidate. I believe the Houston Texans wanted him to be the coach there a couple of years ago, and then they put the ixnay on that. I'm just trying to figure out, what are people seeing? Like, I would think that you would have to really cut your teeth to be a head coach, be an assistant for a while, on the offensive side of the ball, be an offensive coordinator, do some play calling. I mean, Josh McCown, when he got offered the Houston Texans job, I mean, he was coaching high school basketball. He really didn't have a resume of experience in terms of being qualified to be a head coach. Now he's a quarterback coach for the Minnesota Vikings, and he's getting interviewed for head coaching jobs. And it just perplexes me. Everybody looks at him as this great candidate. I'm trying to figure out, where is the body of work and what are people seeing? Not that he's deficient with the Minnesota Vikings by any stretch of the imagination. I am just amazed at the vigor of people throwing his name out there for possible landing spots as a head coach. He's already been offered a head coaching job once with the Houston Texans, I believe, while coaching high school basketball. I'm just perplexed by it. But again, KOC, contract extension, we're going to wait and see what the terms are for the contract, the length and the amount of money. Like I said, I think it's going to be 3 to 5 years, 15 to 17 mil a year is my speculation for KOC. We got it done. It's the first domino to fall. Now we got to get Kwesi locked up, and now we got to have a stellar free agency period this offseason. Looking forward to seeing what the Vikings and their organization are going to do during this offseason. It's the J.J. McCarthy era. I'm super excited about that. Please hit that like and subscribe button. If you like the content, just take the time to hit that like button. It'll really help the channel out and continue to grow. This has been Unconventional Playbook. We will make sure to see you when we see you. Latre, take us home.
I don't know who I am. Can I say I'm a man? Am I losing my mind? Am I wasting my time? Do I know